In part two of my interview with former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, he agrees repealing Obamacare has to stay high on the GOP agenda.
They have no choice. And McConnell's already said that he will move it on the budget resolution, which only takes 51 votes. Everybody who won campaigned on repealing Obamacare. I mean, this is a straight down. Now, people will tell you, well, we want to keep no preconditions, and we want to keep having your child on your insurance till you're 26. So this is, after all, a very big bill. So there are, maybe 80 or 100 pages we want to keep out of 1,100 pages, but the other 1,000 are gone. And they will, first of all, pass repeal, and it'll pass the House and the Senate. The president will veto it. I mean, this is, after all, Obamacare. But they will then come back with most of it repealed. And what we're seeing, as with the Supreme Court case, what you see, for example, people who are really fed up that 30 hours is considered full-time. I mean, the people who get hurt by the 30-hour limit are students, the working poor, self-employed mothers, Latinos, African Americans, people who need the work. And so these provisions of Obamacare have been really painful. If you're a waitress or you're a cook or you're doing a job where you're not making a lot of money, but you were at least able to work 40 hours until Obamacare. So I think you'll see growing evidence. I think there'll be hearings in the House and Senate. The horror stories will multiply, and I believe that most of Obamacare will be repealed.
As a historian who has had all of Washington and modern American politics as a classroom, has there ever been a president as ideologically single-minded as Barack Obama?
No, I think he's the most radical president in American history. And what makes it fascinating is he's both incompetent and radical. Now, I mean, I think you could be incompetent and sort of moderate, or you could be radical but really competent. But you're really running big risk if you're both incompetent and radical. And I think in a lot of ways, what you're seeing happen is somebody who's just in over his head. I mean, he doesn't know how to deal with Ebola. He doesn't know how to deal with ISIS. He doesn't know how to deal with Iraq. He doesn't know how to deal with Putin. He doesn't know how to get the Obamacare thing to work. He doesn't know how to fix the Veterans Administration. He just get on item after item. And he's a little bit like a corporate CEO whose company is collapsing. He has no idea what to do, so he goes and golfs. Because that way, at least he doesn't have to think about it.
Seeking solace on the golf course. Hillary Clinton is seeking to succeed him as president. Conversely, the Republican Party, that field is wide open. Describe what you see happening for 2016 in the presidential sweepstakes.
Well, first of all, I think the Obama-Clinton campaign is going to have a very hard time. She can't get away from him. She was his Secretary of State. He's going to get dozens of bills to sign. And every single time he gets a bill, a reporter's going to walk up to Secretary Clinton and say, would you veto it or sign it? And she's not going to be able to get away from it. If she splits with him, the entire left is going to rebel and she'll have an opponent. If she sticks with him, the entire rest of the country is going to walk off from her. So this will really be the Obama-Clinton campaign. It won't be the Clinton campaign. And I don't see how she gets out of that. And people will really be faced with the question, do you want 4 more years of this? Or, in fact, do you want to change? If you want to change, here are the Republicans. We have no front-runners. This is the most open Republican nomination, I think, since 1940. And I think that anybody could win. We're going to have a lot of runners, but no front-runners.
We're always told, I think by makeup, we say never, even if scenario is unlikely. Are you prepared to rule out?
No, I'll take that scenario. Chris and I certainly are looking at it, the door is open, but the reality is we're going to have a new generation of great candidates. And I sort of think the country's ready for some new faces. I mean, as you pointed out, not only did I go to Washington in 1978, first ran for office in 74, was elected speaker in 94, 20 years ago. I've been around a long time, but there are a lot of new, exciting faces who people are going to look at, I think, and say, after this mess, and this is one of Hillary's biggest problems. I mean, Hillary Clinton is not exactly a new face. She can't convincingly say, let me bring new ideas to Washington. And so I think it's very helpful for the Republicans to have this deep bench we don't rule it out, but it's unlikely. I see a lot of talent out there. I think this may be the most talented Republican bench that we've had in my lifetime.
And we will hear from Speaker Gingrich again tomorrow. He will go more in depth about just who may run for president. But Miranda,
he's not ruling it out.
Well, of course not. A wise politician always keeps his options open. Now, he did say it was somewhat doubtful, but he was certainly much more clear in his assessment of President Obama, calling him ideologically grounded and incompetent. And
so some pretty harsh words to describe the president.
Again,
justified?
Well, the record speaks for itself. I mean, the fact that the president this week, now just think about this. He says he wants to work with Republicans, but they better accept his executive amnesty. Now, David Gergen, not exactly known as a hyper-partisan guy, said, oh, okay, so the president is saying to the Congress, let me spit in your face first, and then we'll work together. It doesn't work that way, and yet the president, say what you will about whatever his deficiencies, he has been single-minded in pursuing a left-wing agenda for which he makes no apologies, even with that interview on 60 Minutes saying, or pardon me, on Face the Nation saying, yeah, well, I'm the chief of the party and the party took some losses. I'll bear responsibility. But it does not appear that this president has prepared himself to reap the consequences, and he sounds as if he's going to move forward with an executive amnesty, at least to my ears.
Well, it remains to be seen. What was it like just hanging out with your old buddy again?
Well, it's kind of interesting to have Newt and Callista Gingrich, who has a new kids book out. They were here for a visit, and I was joking with him. It's kind of like going to visit congressional districts and visiting businesses and factories in your district. They came in, did the grand tour. We did the interviews. It was a great deal of fun, but of course, the most important part, the insights the former speaker has to offer. And again, we will have more of those tomorrow, and we'll talk with Callista in the days to come. Our America's Forum program will continue following this Newsmax Now update.